Wrong series, dude. Come on. Sorry. Hello and welcome to another review here on my channel. Today you're going to look at Into the Badlands. Yes indeed. Into the Badlands are essentially a post-apocalyptic martial arts weapon. I don't know what the other one is called, but it is using swords and old times weapons essentially in its as a genre. And yeah, it is airing on the American channel AMC, which are essentially producing it, and yeah, are essentially the main channel for it. Here in the Nordic nations, you can see it on HBO Nordic, and if there are other streaming services or channels that air it, then it does it, but I watch it on HBO Nordic essentially, yes indeed. And it isn't that much more I can talk about that I remember, so let's just jump right into it. You're essentially following a warrior named Sonny, which are essentially the right hand of the Baron Quinn, essentially. They are essentially set 500 years into the future after a war that ended badly and civilization were, well, they need to adapt to the new world essentially. These series are set in the Badlands, which is essentially a nation that is inside a big wall, which have a outside world as well, but inside this wall you essentially have barons that are the rulers of the nations inside the Badlands. I think it is in total 5 in the series airs, and Quinn are one of them essentially. You will follow Sonny trying to, find a boy named MK. Well, his initials are MK essentially, which have a gift that they haven't seen before and which are really important to one of the barons that is called the Widow essentially. She is called the Widow because her husband died, which was the Baron, and because of that she essentially becomes the Baron by default. And throughout the series you will see Sonny and NK trying to figure out what's on the city, what this mysterious city they are finding information about is and where it can be located. And essentially Sonny wants to get his girlfriend, I think it is girlfriend not wife, out of the Badlands and try to find a new life in this new city. But it doesn't go that well because of the continuous Cold War, you can call it. It isn't really a war, but it's essentially information war between the different barons. But because the Widow wants something more, the war essentially starts happening again. And that is essentially the main storyline behind the 2 first seasons. I really love this storyline because it is politics with a lot of mysteries and a lot of great fights and wars essentially. I really love this series because of that, and overall I think the story arcs are really well put together, and I think overall it is a great storyline essentially. When we're talking about the effects, we talk about everything which surrounds fights, overall effects, makeup, and etc. etc. The world are looking very real. It is great. If it's CGI, it is really well done. If it is sets, they are really well put together. And I think the world, when it comes to the effects surrounding it, are well put together and yeah, really well done. When it comes to the fights, they are very choreographed and they look like they're actually fighting with real weapons and real determination, if you want to call it that. It is great choreographed, and I really like that about this series. Everything when it comes to effects are really well done. The blood, the scars, everything when it comes to makeup, everything are just amazing. So when it comes to effects, these series are really top notch. The environments in this series are amazing. The dystopian future looks amazing. I really want to see what is behind everything. And of course it is rather usual buildings like mansions and stuff like that, but we also have this rundown bar buildings and etc, etc. And I really love that about the series. I really like that dystopian future style in movies and series, and because of that it is great. For the most part the characters are really well acted and well acted and well portrayed essentially, but sometimes they are a little bit confusing with their goals essentially, and that is one of the main drawbacks of what this is, because some of the, as I said, goals that these characters have are a little bit confusing and what they want to do, because it changed somewhat from season 1 to season 2 and then back and forward like that. And the characters grown a little bit, but overall I think they could have done a little bit more when it comes to actually continuing having the same goals. One example would essentially be the Baron Quinn. His goal in the first season are a little bit different in season 2 because of how the circumstances essentially ended up. And the same for another character named Jade. She was essentially the new wife of Quinn, but then later on in season 2 she becomes more and more powerful. She essentially hooked up with his son, and it is going on and on like that. So sometimes the goals of these characters are a little bit confusing, but overall I think they are decently portrayed and acted essentially. Into the Badlands are have an interesting story, interesting environments, great effects, and of decent characters, but some of the goals that the characters have are a little bit confusing because that it is drawn back a little bit. But overall I think this series are entertaining, really well put together, and I really recommend it because it's really fun to watch and I really love it. The final verdict for Into the Badlands season 1 and 2. Yes, it was season 1 and 2, I haven't seen season 3 yet, but it has been ordered. Are going to be a 8.2 out of 10. That's all for today folks, I'll see you next time, bye.